Hi, grade fours. We are reading Hardy Boy Adventures, Tunnel of Secrets, Chapter 7, and Robbie is back. The Mole People. Unfortunately, when Ghoul Boy took Joe's bag, he also got his headlamp, so we had to use the flashlights on our phones, which weren't super bright. By the time we shone them into the hole at the back of the locker, Sal was already long gone. "Here goes nothing," I said, as Joe and I crawled inside, closed the door behind us, and began climbing down the ladder into darkness. The ladder descended about a story before we hit the ground. First thing I saw when we reached the bottom were train tracks. "We must be in an old train tunnel under the station," I observed. From the looks of it, it hadn't been used for trains in a long time. Joe tapped on the dingy brick wall that sealed off the old tunnel from the station, then pointed his light down the tunnel in the opposite direction, where the track continued before vanishing around a bend. "I guess we're going that way. The tunnel must be from the old central station before they renovated it around the middle of the last century," I said as we walked. "I remember reading about it. They kept the building because it was historically significant, but they put in a whole new track system. I guess they must have just sealed off some of the old ones and forgot about them." "Man, the Urbex guys would get a huge rush out of this," Joe said. "How many people get to explore a place the rest of the world doesn't even know exists?" Delilah said Sal spent a lot of time exploring under Bayport when he was still an engineer, so it makes sense he knew this was here. I noted as we approached the bend. "I wonder what else he discovered." "I think we're about to find out," Joe said, pointing to the light that suddenly appeared at the end of the tunnel. "That can't be fluorescent light, can it?" I asked as we got closer. "That's what it looks like." "That doesn't make any sense," I said. "There shouldn't be any working electricity down here. No one's used these tunnels for decades." "Tell that to them," Joe said as we stepped out of the tunnel. We were standing at the entrance to a large open space with a few different tracks converged like a subterranean rail yard of some kind, only it had been entirely transformed into a bustling underground town. The entire place was illuminated by modern lighting suspended from the ceiling. There were a bunch of people going about their daily business below. A guy I recognized as a local panhandler sat on a bench reading a newspaper while a couple old scruffy old men played chess nearby. On the other side of the train platform, a pair of young punks with multicolored mohawks played with a dog while a trio of women lounged in lawn chairs on a patch of artificial turf in front of an old train car. The lawn even had a white picket fence. More train cars stretched into the distance. "This must have been the depot where they parked the trains," I speculated. "Only the trains had been turned into condos," Joe said, pointing at the lights in the windows and the shadows of people milling about inside. "I've never seen anything like it," I replied. "Half the city's homeless population must live down here." "I've heard of homeless people living in the abandoned subway tunnels under New York City," Joe said. "Urban explorers call them mole people, but who knew we had them right here in Bayport?" "Hey, we aren't moles," a squeaky voice piped up. We tuned to a scraggly bald man in a Christmas sweater poking an angry finger in our direction. "And who are you calling homeless?" another man in a well-worn second-hand suit said in a more friendly, albeit very deep and gravely voice. A man smiled and gestured at the train cars. "We have homes. You're looking at them." "We didn't mean to offend you," I said. "We actually really impressed." "Yeah, this place isn't mole-like at all," Joe added. "We like it. It gives us a peaceful shelter from the cruel world above," Mr. Gravely voice said. "It can be hard for a guy to get a fair shake up there. People looking down at you, trying to deny you your rightful place in the world. Nope, civilization above ground isn't always very civil to people like Curly and me, is it, Curly?" "No sirree, Zeke. It's a hornet's nest of greedalistic operationalism. It is what I always say," said squeaked voice Curly, whose hair may have been very well been curly at one point, although there wasn't much left to tell. "How is it you boys managed to stumble upon our humble abode?" Zeke said. "Not that I'm accusing you of hassling us, but we don't normally get many visitors down here. Actually, we're trying to find someone who might live down here. His name is Sal. Do you know him?" I asked. Let me think. Quiet, crazy type?" Zeke asked with a gravely laugh. Sure, everyone knows Sal. He's the one who built the place, or at least the one who wired it for electricity. Sal did? Really? Joe asked. It's incredible that he did all this without anybody finding out about it. I had to agree. Delilah hadn't been lying about Sal being a gifted engineer. Yep, guy's a certified genius. We even have working plumbing down here, Zeke said. And the internet and 637 channels of cable TV, Curly chimed in. You don't mind me asking, is it is you wanted what with Sal, do you? I don't mean to sound suspicious. It's just that Sal isn't exactly the socializing type. He can be a bit certifiably bonkers, Curly injected. I was going to say unstable, but that works too, Zeke said. Most folks down here are of the opinion that it's safer just stay away from him if you get my drift. I didn't like it, but I got it. Sal might be dangerous, which made it even more important that we find him. Actually, we have a mutual friend who is in trouble, and he may be able to help us find her, I said, cautious about revealing too much. Zeke seemed friendly, but never a good idea to give up too much information during an investigation. You must be talking about the missing Hickson girl, the one who's been all over the news. Zeke must have seen the surprised look on our faces when we guessed right. Saw Sal walking around with one of the missing persons flyer the other day, Zeke explained. It's a cruel world up there. He shook his head sympathetically. I hope you find her. Do you know where Sal is now? Joe asked hopefully. No, that's the last time I saw him. Sal can be a hard one to find if he doesn't want to be found. Just sort of comes and goes as he pleases. I don't mean to talk ill of the man after he's done so much for all of us down here, but he's not exactly the warm and cuddly type. Kind of creeps the rest of us out, if you want to know. No one really knows his story, and that makes people uncomfortable. We did know his story, at least part of it, and it didn't make me any more uncomfortable. You said Sal told you how to find the place. Zeke eyed us suspiciously. Not exactly, I admitted sheepishly. We kind of followed him, Joe added. Huh? Zeke said, looking concerned. Not like Sal to let himself to be followed, but he's been a little more off than usual. Hey, Curly, Zeke called out to his friend. You seen Sal? Not today, called back Curly, who had started rooting around in the green recycling bin next to the trash can, pulling out pieces of garbage and tossing them into the black trash can next to it. People keep putting trash in with the recyclables, he grumbled. We may live underground, but we still have to worry about the environment up there. Take the earthquake that swallowed up the Admiral this morning. My house shook so hard I thought it was going to jump right off track. Curly yanked another item off of trash from the recycling bin. Only this one wasn't trash at all. It was Joe's gear bag. Hey, that's mine. Joe grabbed it from him and yanked it open. But I could already tell from how light it seemed that what he was looking for wasn't there. The key, Joe gasped. It's gone. And that's chapter 7 with Robbie and Mrs. Bond. We'll see you guys for chapter 8.